Good evening. With the Ghana Learning Channel's news in capsule for Wednesday, October 27, 2021, I am Kingsley Bryan. Here's a look at some of the top stories we will be covering this evening. We'll first tell you, the president says the fate of humanity is in our hands, as he told the UN high-level thematic debate on climate. Children ages 5 to 11 could begin vaccination soon. Health Minister says government awaiting the FDA's approval. Then, Yawang residents get $1.2 million in funding, and that is to aid in the construction of a craft production and sewing center. And in news from the region, Mayan artifact handed over to Guatemala after plans to auction item fell through in 2019. And on the international scene, oil surpasses $85 for first time in 7 years, spikes resulting in global hardships and inflation. And now for the news in detail. President Irfaan Ali, in an address to the United Nations high-level thematic debate on delivering climate action, ahead of the 26th session of the Conference of Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, delivered a stern warning to world leaders present. President Ali stressed that climate change continues to be one of humanity's foremost existential threats. Despite setbacks occasioned by the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, global greenhouse gas emissions have rebounded. The Guyanese head of state called for urgent action and noted that, open quote, deep emissions reductions are needed, and needed now if we are to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. We must deliver an outcome at COP26 that demonstrates our resolve to protect human life and biodiversity. End of quote. He further urged that delayed climate action is unthinkable. We are faced with no other choice but to act now or consign humanity to doom. Failure to ramp up our overall ambitions will result in higher and unbearable economic and environmental costs, the president said. The president further assured of Ghana's commitment to the fight. He said Ghana will continue to play its part in reducing emissions and providing the world with critical climate and ecosystem services. He also added that our low-carbon development strategy stands as a model of the significant contributions small states can make in promoting climate action aimed at reducing emissions and increasing climate resilience. Ghana is currently expanding its low-carbon development strategy into a comprehensive framework to include protection of biodiversity, fresh water management, and the protection of the marine economy. President Ali concluded that the fate of humanity is in our hands now. We must not disappoint. The time for action is now. And turn our attention to the health blotter. Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, revealed that children ages 5 to 11 could begin receiving the Pfizer vaccine as early as next week, once approved by the U.S. Food and Drugs Administration, the FDA. According to a report from CBS News, Pfizer's request to roll out COVID-19 vaccines for Americans as young as 5 years cleared a key regulatory hurdle on Tuesday, after a panel of the Food and Drug Administration's outside vaccine advisors voted by a majority to back Pfizer's request. Top U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci said vaccines for the 5 to 11 age group could likely be available in the first half of November and could see many children getting fully vaccinated before the end of the year. Guyana is currently administering the vaccine to children 12 to 18 years, along with pregnant and nursing women. Minister Anthony said the ministry will continue going into schools and working with the Education Ministry to ensure children of that age group are vaccinated. The Health Minister is also advising parents to ensure their children are immunized so that they could return to schools. An analysis from the Food and Drug Administration suggested that the benefits of vaccinating children younger than 12 far outweigh the risk. Then, residents of Yawang in Region 8 recently received $1.2 million to aid in the construction of a center that will be used as base for craft production and a sewing center. Women engaged in sewing will receive further assistance from the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs for the establishment of a business. Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Pauline Sukai, during a recent visit to the region, urged residents to ensure that the facility is completed on time. She added that the ministry has been successful in getting a small sum of money to help women in the Yawong settlement to start their own small businesses. She said sewing machines have already been distributed in the village for everyone's use. Additionally, a $3.8 million pickup truck has also been purchased to be used in the village. The minister said the investments must be able to generate an income for maintenance and other purposes. And turn our attention now to the world of sports. The Ghana under-17 female national squad will open its account in the qualifiers for the 2022 CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Championship this week, kicking off against Anguilla in Florida on October 28. The 18-member squad for the qualifying tournament includes 16 Guyanese-based players from all across the nation, including 5 players from the Orialo community in Region 6, 5 from Georgetown, and 4 from Region 7. Region 1 is also represented in a squad boasting a significant proportion of talent from the interland communities. The CONCACAF qualifying tournament has been rescheduled and reconfigured on numerous occasions this year due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving 10 teams to compete for 4 places in the final championship. As well as Anguilla, Ghana will face Honduras on October 30 and the Turks and Caicos Islands on November 1 in Group C on the qualification rounds. The winner of each of the 3 rounds will progress to the finals along with the best-ranked second-place finisher. And that story was extracted and modified from the newsroom. And in news from the region, a private collector has handed over a Mayan artifact to Guatemala following negotiations after plans were made to auction the piece in 2019. The artifact depicts the head of an ancient ruler wearing a mask in the form of a bird of prey. It disappeared from the Mayan site of Piedras Negras in the 1960s. The piece reappeared in Paris in 2019 during an auction, but Guatemala objected and presented evidence calling for the artifact to be returned. The sale was suspended and negotiations took place between the private collector, Manichac Oronce, the French and Guatemalan governments, and UNESCO. Ms. Oronce opted to voluntarily return the fragment, which depicts an ancient ruler who was seated to the throne in the year of 729 AD to Guatemala, UNESCO said in a statement. It was returned during a ceremony in Paris on Monday. The artifact will soon be sent to the National Museum of Archaeology and Ethnology of Guatemala City, where it will be on display to the general public. And that story was extracted and modified from the BBC. And on the international scene, the oil rally hit another milestone on Monday, with crude oil topping $85 a barrel for the first time in 7 years. U.S. oil jumped another 1.2% to trade as high as $85.7 a barrel. It's the first intra-trade day above $85 since October 2014. The rebound has intensified in recent weeks as a global energy crunch has emerged, marked by spikes in natural gas, coal, and crude prices. Oil is up 13% this month alone and is now up to 120% from a year ago. The oil spike is amplifying inflationary pressures and raising the cost of living for everyday Americans and citizens all over. A regular gallon of gas not only fetches $3.38 nationally, up from $3.32 a week ago, according to the AAA. A year ago, when fewer people were driving, the average gas price stood at $2.16 a gallon. Brent crude, which is the global benchmark, gained 1% on Monday and hit an intraday high of $86.51 a barrel, a fresh 3-year high for the commodity. And that story was extracted and modified from CNN. And that's our news broadcast for Wednesday, October 27, 2021. Please join us for a rebroadcast tomorrow morning. On behalf of myself and technical teams, thanks for watching. Please stay tuned to our regular programming. And remember to observe all the necessary precautionary methods to fight off COVID-19. We're all in this together. Good evening.